And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Monday, July 3rd. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Yes, Monday morning, July the 3rd, and welcome you to our program. We welcome Don Hamlet to talk about Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main in Lebanon. Don, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
Well, we'll just tell everybody you're not live in studio this morning. You're on the phone, but you had a harrowing experience over the weekend. And if you want to talk about that for a minute, then we'll talk about Kubota.
Oh, it's just a great trip in Yellowstone. This is a wonderful country we live in. And then, you know, with all the bad weather they've had all across the country, we had a long 24 hours trying to make it back to Nashville. Flew back in, landed in Nashville last night about 11 o'clock. As soon as I get off the radio with you here, I'll head into the office and see what my desk looks like and get things going there.
All right. Well, you will be open today on July 3rd at Absolute Kubota.
Yes, sir. We will be open today from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. We will be closed tomorrow in observance of July 4th. Hope everybody has a great July 4th tomorrow, and maybe everyone can spend some time with their families. If you get free today, come on in and see us, and we'll be there ready to go. We will be open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then on Saturday from 8 a.m. until noon.
All right. You've got, of course, those Kubota tractors that we talk a lot about, along with hay equipment, zero-turn mowers, RTVs. As you say, everything from weed eaters to hay balers.
Man, we've got it. We've got a pretty good inventory right now. I got up this morning to check us every month. It's typically month to month. The programs with Kubota will change, whether or not it's your cash rebates for paying cash or figuring out which one of the options they're going with for the 0% financing on all the great equipment that we have there. So I got on the website and was kind of going through there and refreshing my mind of what all was going on, and it looks like they've still got a lot of great deals of 0% financing on all the tractors, RTVs, even the construction equipment, everything we offer there. We can get you financed and get you going.
Well, I know you can, and you have service after the sale, which is another thing we like to talk about.
We do. One of the great things I think our service department started last year was you can kind of call in and just get an appointment to get your service work done instead of just bringing it and maybe sitting there a week or so. You can call Clint there at our shop at 615-449-6171. And, if you just need to get your blade sharpened, oil changed, or if you've been out using your equipment heavily and maybe need a little maintenance work done on it or something, you can call him and set up an appointment to get that done. Or if you like doing your own services, a lot of guys like turning their own wrenches. If you want to do that, you can come into our parts department, and we keep all the oil and filters, blades, belts, all those type things in stock for all of your equipment. That stuff's there ready to go for you whenever you want to do it yourself.
All right, and we'll remind everybody, too, your website has a wealth of information, www.absolutekubota.com. And I was just thinking here, with the rain we've been having, we're probably going to have a good second cutting of hay a little bit later on. And you do have a lot of hay equipment for people. We
do. We have your disc mowers, your rakes, tedders, your balers. We have all that stuff in stock. Of course, they have great financing terms on that, too. They're going to have some cash rebates if you prefer to pay cash. We have all that stuff there ready to go. Like you said, I think it rained quite a bit while I was gone, and it's warmed up, and so these Tennessee grasses are going to be growing.
That's for sure. Well, what about RTVs? How's your you got plenty of them in stock, or you still need to order ahead of time?
No, sir. We've got those in stock. You come on in and see us. We'll get you fixed up. It shouldn't take us, even if you wanted to finance, if you bring your trailer in, we should be able to get you loaded up and ready to go in about an hour, even through financing. And you can have that thing out on your farm and have your family over tomorrow and have a big day in it.
Well, maybe you'll sell 2 or 3 of them today. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be awesome. Come on in. We'll get everyone fixed up.
Well, they are such a versatile thing. You can use them totally for recreation. You can use them totally for work, or just about anything in between.
You can. I think a lot of people will use them for just hunting, just tooling around on their farms, doing what they need to get done there, checking fences, checking on calves, different things like that, moving things around. The diesel units, they're hydrostatic transmission. They have a dump body on them, so you could load the back end of that thing up and move some debris around or feed or whatever it might be and get some work done.
Well, Don, hope you have a great day today. Thanks for being with us, and we'll try to do it again next Monday.
Thank you, Coleman. See you next Monday.
All right. Don Hamlet with Absolute Kubota, located at 1506 West Main in Lebanon. Kubota tractors, hay equipment, zero-turn mowers, RTVs, everything from weed eaters to hay balers. Well, we're 10 minutes after the hour, and Sheriff Robert Bryan is my guest, and he's right here live in studio this morning. Sheriff, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman. How are we?
I'm doing well. How was your weekend?
It was good. A little busy. We had a lot going on. We had several storms come through over the past few days. And
Yeah.
We had a lot of trees down and roads blocked, and just trying to keep everybody moving the best we can. But
I guess when this happens, and especially if it's in the rural area, you and your department are some of the first to know about it.
it is. I mean, it's us, and they'll call us, and we'll call the road commission, and they'll come up to cut the trees up and things like that, get them gone. But it's a team effort once something like that happens.
You have much wind out your place?
Yeah, some. I had a few trees down. That makes me, he said checking fences. I probably need to go check my fences if I ain't got any trees down. So,
Well, I wanted to make sure you were aware that we would be here and do the program today. So I sent you a text and you said you'd be here, and you are. And I was wondering, there are not things we can talk about, but tomorrow, being July 4th, I thought maybe one of the things that we ought to really hit on was water safety and people being out on the lake. And I think you and the Sheriff Department have jurisdiction over that. And if they're out being rowdy or unlawful, that's part of your job to bring them in line.
yes, we have already been out on the water all weekend. We'll be there through late tomorrow afternoon, and we've got jurisdiction on the water. If there's an accident or something like that on the waters, or a drowning or boat accident, we call TWRA in, and they've got boats out on the water along with us. And I know just this weekend, Saturday, we had one boat that we got called on that was taken on water. We was able to get them back to shore safely, and the boat probably is not doing pretty good. But and then yesterday there was two jet skis that was having some problems, and we was able to help them out and get them back to the dock safely. And it's more about being out there, being present, being seen, visibility. If people need help, if somebody's out there acting silly, we'll take care of that too. And
Well, what about when you have a cloud come up, a squall line comes through, the wind is blowing? What about water safety, and what's the best thing to do? Get out of the water?
Get to the bank, get off the water. I mean, that's the best thing you can do. Everybody says, you got to worry about lightning out on waterways, and it's and all in all, pretty much the majority of people that they do. But every once in a while, you'll have one that don't follow the rules, I reckon, and we'll have to go out there and sort of get them to the shore the best we can.
Well, another thing, some people, there's excessive drinking. What tell us about the law regarding that, if you will.
Well, they just changed that law as of July 1st, and TWRA and us are putting, they had a big effort over the past couple of weeks of promoting the new law as it relates to boating under the influence, and it carries the same penalty as driving a car under the influence. So
okay, well,
they really beefed it up.
If the person that is, let's say, in charge of the boat, guiding the boat, whatever, if they're okay, but there's somebody else on there, or maybe two or three even, that are inebriated, how does the law apply?
You can, as long as you have one person on that the driver is not consuming alcohol. That's fine. As far as everybody else on the boat, it's okay. But we keep eye out for that. So, sometimes they swap drivers and do all this stuff. But the law says one person who's not partaking is able to drive the boat.
But it's a pretty serious thing. I mean, we have a lot of drownings, and I don't know how much might be because of that. But if somebody is consumed too much alcohol and doing a boat, I mean, it's just like driving a car. I mean, you're it's against the law, first of all, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, and what we see is a lot of people that's out on boats and it may be they ain't been on a boat, don't know the rules of the water, and we see a lot of that. I mean, these younger people get out there and they think they know about the water, and they don't. And we try our best if we see somebody that appears to needs to be educated. We do our best to try to educate them because there are, and you see these younger. I mean, you see parents letting 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids out there on these little jet ski things, and they don't have a clue about boat traffic and what to look for and how to avoid other boats and what side of the water to be on, and it's the law requires that at a certain age you're supposed to have a boat and safety class, and we're finding a lot of people don't have that are not doing that. So.
Okay, Sheriff Robert Brond is with us. It's time for us to take a break here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford. Get a battery installed on most vehicles. It's $149.95. Bates Ford, 1673 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic's off to a pretty good start right now, coming up through the Hickory Hollow area on 24, coming out of Rutherford County now. It's picked up with some volume just in the last few minutes as you make your way past B&A Airport over here on I-40, traveling through Donaldson. Lots and lots of radar still exist out here. If you have mosquitoes, call Crest Pest Control today. They'll take care of it for you. Call 601-6503. Check out their website at crestpestcontrol.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Collier Engineering is a civil engineering design firm that can provide surveying for your home or property. A family-owned business in Nashville, Collier Engineering has multiple employees in Wilson County, including survey manager Dan Curry. He's a registered land surveyor and a certified floodplain surveyor. He would love the opportunity to assist with your surveying needs. Visit collierengineering.com. Call 931-510-2800. Mention this ad and get 10% off.
Thank you for joining us here on this Monday, July 3rd. Robert Bryan is with us. I'll tell you something else we might, this program, when I say it's live, spontaneous and unrehearsed, that describes it pretty well. And almost always with me and you, because we have no agenda. You come and we start talking. But it just occurred to me, there may be a law or two that went into effect July 1st that we might need to talk about this morning. I don't know whether there is or not.
Yeah, there were several laws as it relates to as far as criminal proceedings in courts that stiffens the fines on and the penalty for certain crimes, and that we saw a lot of legislation this past year in the legislature that they was going to be strong on be tough on crime, and we'll see that coming. Tougher sentencing as it relates to any type of this fentanyl drugs that's going on, and that's going to go a long way, I would hope, because we have a serious problem with fentanyl and opioids and things like that are really affecting the lives of families all across this county, we don't go after the addict, okay? We go after the dealer, and it stiffens the fines as it relates to what's the dealers, okay? So, and that's what we're going to do. We've been doing it for a while, but it just helps us in what we do and getting them in jail where they need to be.
Apparently that isn't getting any better.
And that's
part of the problem the Mexican border.
Well, I look at it this way. Part of the problem, it is the problem, in my opinion, okay? And you see every day on the news about, they've confiscated thousands or hundreds and hundreds of pounds of this coming across the border, coming through waterways, whatever, and it is the problem. And I will say this, it's, and I said this before, the people that's walking across that border ain't all Mexican. I mean, they're from all over this world, and this fentanyl stuff originally comes out of China, and what's the easiest way to get it in the United States? Through the Mexican border, but nobody there's a lot of people that don't realize that. And,
well, we haven't heard that much.
No.
I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about the drugs coming through the border, but I think you're more specific about that this morning even than you've been in the past.
Well, I know. I mean, I've heard stories and horror stories about what's going on down there. Well, I've been invited to go down there to the border here next month or so. Just me and some more sheriffs, just to talk to them sheriffs down there about what they're going through. And
you going?
Yeah, I'm going. And it's important that we realize what they're going through down there, because it's a direct line into Wilson County. I have no doubt about that.
Well, when you do that and come back, we'll
talk about that.
That'll be a good topic for discussion. But
yeah.
but it seems such a shame that we allow this. And I guess I am throwing stones a little bit here, but I mean, I think in our previous presidential administration, we were beginning to get a hand on the border.
And we lost all that. All that's gone back to the way it was before, and it's I'll throw stones, but yeah, it's but what's happening at that border is directly affecting Wilson County, Tennessee, no doubt, and because we've through some of our investigations, we've led stuff back. We've backtracked all the way to that Mexican border, just here in Wilson County, Tennessee. So you're just sitting here thinking about Lebanon, Wilson County, Mount Juliet, Watertown. What's going on across the whole country. So yeah, it's happening, and it needs to stop until somebody takes responsibility and stops it. I don't know what we're going to do. And they can pass all the laws here in Tennessee to make the penalties stiffer, like we was talking about a while ago. But until they stop that, I mean, there's always going to be one right behind them coming in. So
if we had a determined effort there, as we think we should be having a real border, let's say, what effect would that have?
I mean, I don't think it'll completely stop it, but it'll be a drastic impact on what we're dealing with now. I think it'd slow it down, but I don't think you could ever just stop it, because that border down there is just too porous. I mean, too many inlets. They talk about how the number of people crossing the borders has drastically lowered, but they're only counting the ones at these the ones where they're checking numbers. What about all the ones coming across the river and other places throughout the border? That's where they're coming in at.
Well, I've read a little bit and thought about what it would be like to be a landowner on the border there, have a ranch or farm or whatever there, and have to deal with somebody coming on your land all 24 hours a day, really.
Yeah, it's all they say it's horror stories down there for property owners in them cities down there along the border where it's they're coming across. It's a major impact on the impact it's causing down there is more drastic than it is, and we have a lot of them filter into Tennessee, and we're seeing a lot more and more illegals coming in. So it's the numbers down there, they eventually filter up into the rest of the United States.
Well, I know the legislature did, I guess we could say they passed legislation to enhance school resource officers.
Right.
So how is that going to affect you come in school? It's about a month till school starts.
Summertime is shorter than it used to be when I was younger. I can say that, but it's we was able to get the funding as it relates to the state funded a school resource officer for every school in the state, 1,800 and something schools, public schools. Wilson County and a few other counties across the state were already doing that. So we was able to take that money and redirect the money that we're was spending on SR school resource officers prior to now, direct that towards other funding that we needed as far as it relates to personnel. We are adding a few more SROs, school resource officers, in these high schools. These high schools are just so big and spread out. We've already got 2 in every school right now, but they probably need 3. Because in the high school, them SROs are real busy, stay busy the whole time, and we'll be adding a few of them. But we was also able to add more personnel out on as far as patrol officers and different things like that. So that helped our budget out a whole lot.
Well, speaking of the budget, of course it's already passed and in effect, I suppose, here for the 1st of July.
As of 2 days ago, it's in effect. Yes.
I'm sure you didn't get everything you asked for, but did you do pretty well?
I think all county departments done pretty good, and the main thing we was able to help our employees that we have. Is there more that we can do as it relates to pay? Yes, there is, but this budget year was the county commission and worked well, and we've got to take care of our employees as it relates to pay, because the cost of living has gone up over the past years, and if you don't keep up with it, and you're just going to get behind. So,
well, the thing about it is, if you can make considerably more somewhere else, there's not a lot to hold you here, maybe. But if you're being paid comparable to others, there's a lot of reason to stay. I think.
One thing we had to look at is because a lot of these state agencies, they really increased the highway patrol, the Homeland Security people, different things like that. The state really beefed up their pay, so we've got to compete with that. And we took some steps this year where we can, because if nowadays it's more about money. In this younger generation, you talk, our benefits in this county are great as far as insurance and different things, retirement, things like that. But these younger ones, they really don't look at that right now. And I tell them, it's important. It will be important after several years. I'm a prime example. So but it's important to keep their pay where it needs to be and be competitive.
Well, you don't want to just be a training ground for somebody else.
No, I do not.
And that's easy to happen if you can't pay a comparable wage.
It's easy to happen, and we've got several counties close to us that don't pay what we pay. But we're pretty competitive on the counties our size around us. So, but the main thing is you got to look at that every year, because for several years we really got behind. You have to and when you get real behind, you got to do a lot to catch up. So we need to look at it every year.
Well, I'm wondering about the jail. Of course, we've got the expansion, and I think that's completed. And you're kind of doing it incrementally.
It is complete. We've started moving people in it and occupying it, and we'll continue that process. You just can't move 400 people at one time. You just got to do it and sort of educate them as you move them, and that's what we do.
Well, how far along are you?
We're pretty good ways into it.
Okay.
Can't go into much detail because we're in progress of doing it. So it's.
Are you planning to have some sort of open house or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it would amaze you at the number of people that's already toured that jail. These civic groups, Leadership Wilson, Rotary Club. Rotary Club brought their whole group in there, and we ate lunch in there one day. So there's a lot of people who've already been through it, and there's no telling how many people already saw it. So we've had our open house over the past 3 months, and just having different people in there so often.
Okay. Well, maybe we've got about a minute and a half, Sheriff. Maybe we ought to. You have your back to the clock always. You just wait for me to tell you when to stop.
I see you look up. I know it's about time.
But I thought we might sort of end this like we began, talking about July 4th safety, because tomorrow is a wonderful day to celebrate the founding of our country. But we want, and so many times when we wish somebody we'll say a happy and safe July 4th.
I want to be happy, but I really want to be safe, and there'll be a lot of people out and about, and I know you got to play the mayor in cornhole, so just be careful out there and be safe doing that, Coleman.
I don't know of any way harder to be unsafe. Of course, I could slip when I throw and break a leg
That's
or something,
right.
but I hope not.
Knock on wood.
Well, I'm going to, the challenge may be a little bit greater this year. I've been off a little bit, but improved here of late, so I'm really not worried.
There you go. I think you got him.
Well, that'll be about 5:30 tomorrow at the Fairgrounds, Ward Ag Center, and fireworks, of course, will start promptly at 9 o'clock.
Right.
Where are you going to be tomorrow?
I plan on coming down there for a little while. I got a few places I got to stop by, and maybe I'll see.
Well, I'll
throw
have
it back
to,
a
I'll
little bit. I
have to
don't
throw one in for you.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks so much for being with us today. We've covered a lot of good information this morning, and we'll see you again in August.
Sounds good.
All right. Sheriff Robert Bryan, that is part one of Coleman and Company. Please keep it here for more, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks, Absolute Kubota. Premium brands require premium parts and service. Contact Absolute Kubota's Elite Certified Service Department to schedule an appointment. 449-6171. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It's starting to pick up just a bit through the Mount Juliet area on I-40 westbound as you leave Wilson County headed towards Nashville. We did have a couple of earlier wrecks out here. They've since been cleared. 24, watch for some radar as you come up through the Jolton area. They are coming in from Robertson County out of Clarksville as well. Again, lots of radar still exist out here. If you have a mosquito problem, call Crest Pest Control. They'll take care of you. They're right here in Middle Tennessee. That number is 615-601-6503. Check out their website at crestpestcontrol.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup features performance-matched attachments to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/offers for full disclaimer.
Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main in Lebanon.
Mike Walker Auction and Realty presents an online coin and jewelry auction with a variety of collectible items. The auction runs through December 13th and will feature items which will make unique Christmas gifts. Not only does the auction include antique coins and jewelry of all kinds, but it also includes beautiful silverware, antique Confederate money, and more. To bid now, visit MikeWalkerAuctions.com.
Climbing through the 70s and 80s this morning with that muggy air still hanging around. Looking for a high of 87 later today with continued chances for pop-up storms, especially late in the afternoon. Now that pattern will extend through the 4th of July tomorrow, so pay attention to the forecast if you're heading out. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm #1 Ned.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part two. It's a Monday morning, July 3rd, and Billy Mullinax is here to talk about Mount Juliet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to see you again.
It is great to be here on this Monday morning.
I guess last year, wasn't July 4th on Monday last year, so I think it was, and we wouldn't have done it.
We would not have been here, but we are today.
Oh, there you go. And you are open today.
We are open today.
But you'll be closed tomorrow.
Be closed tomorrow, yes, sir.
Well, that's the entire, everybody at Mount Juliet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram will be off tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind. But that doesn't mean you can't get a good deal today or Wednesday.
Or Wednesday, or Thursday or Friday or Saturday.
Well, Mount Juliet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is located at 600 Pleasant Grove Road in Mount Juliet. Billy Mullinax is the general manager, and he comes each Monday to talk about all the good things that's going on there. And there are a lot of good things, right?
Yes, there are, Coleman. I mean, inventory continues to increase. You know, it's a great time to be looking for a vehicle because, you know, you don't have to take just whatever's there anymore. You can be selective. We've got, 180 new vehicles on the ground right now and a few more coming. So If you're interested in something or even think you might be, you ought to come by and just take a look at them.
Oh, absolutely. Unless you're somebody that just cannot make up their mind, this has got to be better. Now, if you have so much difficulty making up your mind, that you do better when there's only one or two choices.
Well, that's right. And some people are that way, Coleman.
Well, sometimes I'm that way, I'll admit.
You know, if you've got 4 or 5 different ones, sometimes it's hard to pick. Yeah, well, I like all of them, but which one do I like the best?
Well, you got a great thing going with the Chryslers, the Dodges, and especially the Jeeps and Rams, which are seeming a little bit more popular. Sell more Jeeps and Rams.
Yes, we do, and of course we always have more inventory of those. And but the Ram truck, you know, Coleman, they continue to win awards, and they really are a great truck. And you know, just come by. Even if you've not driven one in several years, just come by and drive one. You don't have to, even if you're not interested in buying a vehicle right now. You will be at some point, but just come by and drive one, because they are very, very impressive, and really a great made truck. And so many. You know, Coleman, used to, trucks didn't have all the luxury items. Yeah. That cars did at that time.
Exactly right.
And now the trucks have got everything that you can get on a car.
Well, speaking of that inventory, that entire inventory of new and pre-owned cars, you can see if you go to Mount Juliet, cdjr.com.
Might see your neighbor there, Coleman.
Yes, Mount Juliet, cdjr.com. Well, one of the good things that you do and have been doing all along, you keep your entire inventory there, new and pre-owned, and you have your price for them there,
yes,
which you don't have to do anything to find out how much you're going to pay for that.
That's exactly right, Coleman. The price is clearly posted there, and it's a great price. We're constantly looking at how other Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram stores are pricing vehicles, individual vehicles. And it is very, very seldom that there's another one anywhere in our area that is priced less on the same vehicle than what we are. We're usually quite a bit less than what they are.
Well, we talk about your location occasionally. In fact, we mention it every week, 600 Pleasant Grove Road. Tell people that's on the easy side of Mount Juliet.
That's right.
And it is. It is a little bit easier on the north side of Mount Juliet, north side of the interstate than it is otherwise.
That's right.
But you're right over there close to Walmart and to Academy Sports, and a wonderful location, really.
Yeah, well, it is easy to get to, Coleman, and you know, there's a lot of growth happening in Mount Juliet everywhere, but the north side's still quite a bit easier to get to maneuver around, you know, than the south side.
Well, you welcome trade-ins. We hadn't talked about that as much. Of course, we didn't talk about June. We did last week. June is a good month. June's always a good month.
June, yep.
But now July has started. July usually pretty good too, I guess.
June, July, and August are all really, really strong automotive months. Coleman, people are you know, they're on vacations. They're out doing things, and so there's just a great time for people to be looking for another vehicle. But
well, you've got today. You won't have tomorrow, but then the rest of the week, and we just hope you will, when you get a chance, go by Mount Juliet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Billy's going to welcome you, as well as everybody else there, all your salespeople.
Absolutely.
The whole staff.
The whole staff will be glad you're there.
Well, I hope you have. You got any special plans for July 4th?
I do not. I do not. I'll just be around the house, and really nothing special planned, Coleman. I don't make too many plans.
Well, it's a great day for celebration. It really is. When we think what our founding fathers went through, and when they signed that Declaration of Independence, they're really putting their lives on the line.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
All of us,
for us included. That's right.
So keep that in the back of your mind as you have the day off and celebrate a good time. And wish you a happy and safe 4th of July.
Well, thank you, Coleman. I do you too.
Right.
I bet you play a little cornhole tomorrow. I'll be surprised if you don't.
Yeah, got to play the mayor about 5:30, and I'm gonna whoop him.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm going to try.
You gonna try? Well, I bet you do.
All right. We'll see you next Monday.
Thank you,
so much.
Coleman.
Billy Mullinax, General Manager for Mount Juliet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 600 Pleasant Grove Road in Mount Juliet. We're 21 and a half before the 8 o'clock hour. I've invited Tilford Elkins to be my guest this morning. And if you don't know who Tilford Elkins is, you're probably going to know a little bit more about him if you stay with us till 8 o'clock. Tilford, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to see you today.
Wonderful to be here.
I've known you for a long time, and I've known a number of things that you have done. I know you taught school. I know you sold insurance. I know you used to help Clyde Harville do sports. But I did not know till you walked in here this morning that you once worked at Opryland.
Worked there for 22 and a half years.
So we got a lot to talk about this morning. You know what I want to start talking about, though? I want to talk about your father, Elmer Elkins.
Yes.
There's a park named for him here.
Sir.
Tell us about that. You didn't know I was. I hope I didn't caught you off guard.
No. And before my mother went on to her reward, I think that was one of the happiest days of her life when she attended the dedication of that park. And I know my dad would be very, very, very happy about that. He prided himself when he was a baseball coach for Little League and Babe Ruth teams that even today, some of his former players speak in glowing terms of him. And if I do say so myself, my father was a wonderful man. He loved the boys that played for him. He was an honest man. And January the 24th of 1976, when he passed away suddenly with a heart attack, Joel Nave, former funeral director here in Lebanon, handled his arrangements and everything, and over 6,000 people signed the register, and I don't know how many left that didn't. And I think it was testimony of how many friends, and because I always said that he could eat with the prince or he could eat with the paupers. It didn't make any difference to him. The only thing that mattered with my dad is whether your word was any good.
Yeah.
If your word was no good, he didn't think much of you.
Well, this Elmer Elkins Park over on Hobbs Field was once known as Hobbs Field or something, but anyway, over there off of Leeville Pike.
Leeville Pike, yes, and it's in fact the street right there. It used to be where you go to driver's license, where you go get you on Elkins Avenue right there, but they fixed the park up and it looks wonderful, and I'm very proud of what they've done over there.
Well, you went to Lebanon High School?
Yes, graduated in 1967.
What'd you do after that? You went to college.
Yes, well, I forewent my playing days at Lebanon High School in sports my senior year because I was offered a job as sports editor of the Lebanon Democrat. And for 3 years, I did that. My senior year of high school, and 2 years back when Cumberland was a two-year college, and before resumed being a four-year university. I was sports editor during those 3 years, and 2 of those 3 years we attained some state awards, and because I always prided myself that when we were trying to cover football and basketball games, not only did we try to cover the factual information, that we didn't use teletype stuff and all that, and we tried to always have photographs to go into the newspaper. We always felt like that was very important, and we tried to a broader spectrum, even junior pro. We tried to, because if somebody in the family had somebody playing athletics, to them it was extremely important, and to me it was extremely important, and we tried to be as factual. I had a great teacher in Dr. G. Frank Burns. Today, I want to pull my hair out sometimes when I read about articles that are published in newspapers, how they, even the most elementary things, you have to report the 6 things: who, what, where, when, why, and how.
Yeah.
If you don't cover all of that, you haven't covered the story. And we used to pride ourselves on being able to do that.
Well, what were you at Cumberland at any time?
I was I was proudly say, or humbly say, that I was salutatorian of my class in 1969 at Coleman College.
Okay. Well, then did you pursue? Did you go on to college?
I went on.
You went 2 years to Cumberland.
I went 2 years to Coleman, finished up my Bachelor of Science degree at Middle Tennessee State.
Okay.
Graduated in 1971. Was offered a teaching position at Southside Elementary by Bill Allen Martin, a Glaveville resident and good principal, one of the best principals, although show you what times have changed. When you go into his office and everything, he was an extremely intelligent man. He had a lot of common sense and everything, and but he also had a spittoon by his desk. So he would chew his tobacco and everything, but in between his chews, he was thinking about, you knew better than to lie to him. He already knew his answer before he ever asked.
So how long did you teach school?
I taught school a total of 30 years, and I taught from 1978, was in the insurance business from 1978 to 1988, and resumed a teaching career in 88, and retired when I finally retired in 2011, I did my last 6 years at Gordonsville High School.
Okay.
In Smith County.
All right. Well, we know. What have you been doing since 2011?
Well, I after 2011, then 5 more years before I retired from Opryland in security. Oh. So, but there for 16 years, I worked 2 full-time jobs and didn't get a lot of sleep.
All right. Well, tell you what. Hold it right there. It's time for us to take a break. I want to know about the Opryland years because I didn't even know you'd ever been there. I knew most of the other. But anyway, Tilford Elkins is my guest, and we'll continue a moment here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford, regular oil change $39.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal $16.73 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. The police are in the clearing stages of a couple of minor accidents. Actually looks pretty good at the moment as we check it out live. I-40 through the Mount Juliet area coming in from Wilson County. Some radar out in Dixon County this morning. I-40 out past 840. You're going to see more and more radar over the next 24, 48 hours. Hey, if you own your own business, you may be ready for your next adventure. Dynamite Brokers can help you sell your business with a huge profit. Check out dynamitebrokers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Thanks for joining us. We continue here on this Monday, July 3rd. Tilford Elkins is with us, and we talked about your father, and we talked about your life, and you've been a school teacher and taught at Southside. You taught at Gordon.
Taught at Lebanon High School. I was there at Wilson Central when they first opened up, and we rattled around in that building. We didn't have a senior class. They allowed Lebanon High School and Mount Juliet High School, the seniors to remain to graduate at their respective schools. So we rattled around that big building. Well, that's not the case anymore. They're busting at the seams.
A lot of the time that you were teaching, you were also working Opryland. What was that like? Was it a security thing?
Yes, I worked security. I went down to fulfill some requirements I was adding on endorsement onto my teaching certificate, and I went to a big conference down there, and of course, as many people can say had done, I walked out the wrong door, and was totally lost. I didn't know which side of the building I was on. I saw this little shack over there and went over there, asked the guy, and lo and behold, it was Max Cook, a friend that I'd seen and known all my life, and known his wife, worked with his wife in the Wilson County school system, and his son Randy. And of course, Randy's wife, Jeannie Lee, was at one time in my life, I dated Jeannie Lee's sister, Alice, and but I went over there, and Max got talking with him, and he said, "Would you like a part-time job?" And I said, "Well, I'm busy now, Max. I don't know." He said, "Hold on a second. Let me make a phone call." And he sent me inside to speak with Dick Dudley inside there. And before I left Opryland, I had a job, and so they gave me 5 weeks of intensive training, and 22 and a half years later, I retired from there. But
what did you do all that time?
We had I worked a lot with security at the hotel, which is the largest hotel in the world as far as the number of rooms. They have 2,988 rooms in the building. I worked some at the Grand Ole Opry. Occasionally, they would send me downtown to the Wild Horse Saloon down there to do that, and it was a terrific job because it complemented my teaching career. I was able to learn things at both places that at one job would help me on the other, especially from handling. There's not a huge amount of difference between handling disturbed teenagers and handling disturbed adults. They both, just look for some sort of guidance. And I worked with one gentleman, and you have to try to, as a super, I worked my way to a supervisor, and of course, in helping some of them. And I remember one particular lady was lost and frustrated around that big hotel. She couldn't find her way, and she asked one of my guards, said, "Do you know where Jackson is?" Well, one of the rooms, the meeting rooms down there, was named Jackson, just like it was other celebrities around the city of Nashville and everything. "Do you know where Jackson is?" And he said, "Yes, ma'am, I certainly do. He's buried out on the grounds of the Hermitage." And of course, that didn't help her attitude any. She went storming off, and I had to go catch her and escort her to the room to try to give a little bit of TLC,
Yeah.
So anyhow, but it was a great thing. We worked also back before it got too big for its britches, so to speak, Fan Fest, back when it used to be at the State Fairgrounds, which is no more, and it was always hot. A lot of people are not aware that it's a state law that when fanfare or when they had the old golf tournament, the seniors golf tournament at Springhouse, it had to be 100 degrees. Everybody didn't know that. There was a state law. It had to be 100 degrees that week, so we could suffer out there in that heat. But
you've been facetious. I didn't catch that.
But now one thing that did happen when we worked the thing there, I don't know if you remember, a lot of celebrities used to be there in those sweltering buildings. I mean, it was hot, unbearably hot. Garth Brooks was there one day to do his 90-minute signing, and he left about 11 a.m. in the morning, and he was walking through the cattle barn, and I was escorting him out to his truck. And 5 or 6 fans gathered around him. He signed their autographs. Next thing you know, there's 500 out there. And so we had to set up cattle gates and everything, to set up lines and everything. And he started signing autographs. And I said, "Are you going to stay here and do this?" And he said, "Well, I have a mortgage on my house. These are the people that paying my mortgage on my house. I can't walk away and leave them." Well, he signed all night long.
Wow.
And he finished 15 minutes before the gates opened the next morning. We estimated as best we could that he signed 9,300 autographs. And it took about 21 hours that he stood there all night long. And about 2 a.m. in the morning, he asked those people, he said, "Aren't y'all getting hungry?" "I sure am." So he calls some guy he knows who's a manager of Domino's Pizza and gets him out of the bed and cooks pizza and drinks for those people that are in line. He feeds those people. That's the kind of guy. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
do you meet any other big names that you got stories about?
Yes, and I'll be Christian about it. There's some that I won't mention because they are not very friendly to the people that they work with, and they're not very friendly unless the lights and the cameras are on and all that. But otherwise, they are not happy in their own skin sometimes, and I'll leave it at that. But yes, there are a lot of very, very good ones, and the bigger names. I worked a concert one night at the hotel that had about 9,000 participants in the big ballroom, and Dolly Parton did a concert there for them, and I was her escort, and from the time she came on property until the time that she came off, and you'll tip off the way she is, she's the real deal. And it was bone cold at night. It was January 1, the night of January 1, and it was about single digit temperature. And her tour bus was outside, and so I walk out there and have my big coat on, and she gets on the bus, and she insists that I eat with them and insists that I sit on the bus and not stand outside like I'm supposed to. And I said, Dolly, you're going to get me fired. I said, I'm not supposed to do these things. She said, you're supposed to do these things if I tell you are. and so she fed me, she kept me warm, and then when she started to leave, she got in the limo, and then suddenly she gets back out, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's she about to do? Because I'm responsible for them until she leaves property. She gets out, and she gives me a kiss on the cheek. She said, I've had a lot of escorts in my lifetime, and you were there when I needed you, but you were not overwhelming and in my way. And that's one of the best compliments I was ever paid on the job.
Oh, I'm almost envious of you.
Guys, she is the real deal.
Yeah.
She's quite a lady.
You were telling me you met Roy Acuff.
Yes. Now he was, I call him matter of fact, Roy Acuff. He didn't have a lot of foolishness to it, and I think it's a lot of his reflection of his growing up and his influence around Maynardville, Tennessee, and different other places like that. He just grew up during a different time when nobody had much, but they had each other. And he was just that type of person. He, even at the time that he was there, he envisioned the world as being way too easy, way too generous, giving away too much. You were expected to work for what you had. And he wasn't happy about that sometimes.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he was a great.
Well, now he actually lived there for a while.
Yes, he lived on the grounds
Yeah.
of where the theme park was, and he lived in that house there. And he was subject to walk out there. You had to be careful because he'd be out there walking in among the people, signing their autographs and all of that. And sometimes I would ask things of him, and he'd get a little, I'll say, bent out of shape sometimes because. People demand things.
Yeah.
If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So
When I, as I said in the beginning, I think I said this anyway, you came on a short notice, let's say.
Sure.
And I had said we can talk about you and we can talk about when Raymond Lassiter set the Guinness World Record for the most holes of golf, and you were right there the whole time for that. We got 3 minutes, and I know you can talk 3 hours about that.
Well, he had several close friends. He played 62 hours and 40 minutes. And of all the time that he played and everything, what was amazing to me, when he finished about 7 a.m. one morning, I think he could have played much more time, but he said he had to stop because his daughter, Karen, was in labor and about to present him with his first grandchild.
Yeah.
And he had to leave, and he went to the hospital to be there when that child was born. Otherwise, I think he'd still be playing.
That's something that it kind of set him apart, no doubt, and something he cherished for the rest of his life.
To me, the most amazing thing that he did, he only played with 4 clubs, and he played 1,530 holes. His lowest score was 81. His highest was 110, but he only lost 28 golf balls in all of that time. I can lose 28 golf balls in 9 holes. And, to me, it was amazing.
Well, now, you drove the golf cart, didn't
Yes,
did he?
yes.
He was just in and out of it, hit that ball in, and of course, you would, I'm sure you had something to do with the speed and with how fast he could play, how fast you could drive that.
They took the governors off these 2 golf carts that we used. Lynn Bogle drove one, I drove the other, and We weren't there during every minute, but Harry Lee, who owned the golf course, he drove it some, and there were several others, and I apologize that I didn't get their names, but he had lights mounted on these carts. He had an engineer he worked with at Avco Aerostructures that they would Guinness Book of World Records allowed him to dip the golf balls in that. So when he'd hit those balls and they'd go out through there, it'd look like shining stars and shooting stars going out there. So that helped us to not lose to lose. And but he just started playing golf in 1965, and the bug bit him, and he just loved doing it. But to me, Raymond had an uncanny ability for hand-eye coordination. He was uncanny with that. By the time he would address the golf ball, he'd put his right foot down, and by the time he had his left foot down, his swing was starting forward. I don't recall the time that I was with him that I ever saw him scull but 3 golf balls. Huh. He had a sweet swing and could make great contact with a golf ball.
Tilford, we are out of time. This has been an interesting, I appreciate so much you coming out, and I've learned a lot more about you this morning, but what an interesting time you had at Opryland.
I've been a very blessed person. I've had an opportunity. I've always tried to live my life to treat people the way you want to be treated, and my dad always used to say, kindness is the only thing you can't give away. It always comes back to you.
Thank you so much. That's going to do it for this Monday. Have a nice, safe, and happy 4th of July. And until Wednesday, I wish you a magnificent day.